All right, this is another how-to video, and this is going to be another video for an advanced type video on how to use text in Photopea or Photopea. And this basically is going to show you how to cut out this image. I had a different image before, but I changed it up so I could show you what it would look like when you actually can put an image inside of your letters. Um, and so that's just another option for you to be creative with your text. So this is the final product, and obviously it could be different in different ways, but I'll show you how I got there. So I'm get rid of this layer, and I'm going to get rid of a couple layers. Here's the text that I used. Now it's behind some other layers, so we're going to bring it up to the top so you could see it. So here's Empire, the word Empire, and it's just a basic black text. You could definitely start this way, but obviously I'm recommending that you guys get more creative. So about 4 tools down, we're using a tool called the Magic Wand. The Magic Wand selects a range of values. Now you got some options up here, but basically the tolerance will choose the value. But I'm actually using something that has only one value, so shouldn't have much of an issue with this, and won't need to actually change the presets. So I'm holding the shift button. After I select the first letter, I'm holding down my shift button so I can select separate selections. And I really want to make sure I don't forget this little I right there, the little dot to the I. So now the one thing you need to know about selections is once you make a selection, the layer that you selected no longer has to exist. Your selection still exists. Now, for this project, a double exposure project, you can make a selection, use an image to fill in your letters, and you can use any layer you want. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use, or you can use any image you want. I'm just going to use an already existing layer. And I'm going to use this layer right here where we have the buildings, and I'm going to select that layer. Once you select that layer, that selection is focused on that layer. And the way you know it, if you select the move tool and move the text, look what happens. The letters are now cut out. I'm gonna press Control Z. If you're on a Mac, it's Command Z. If you're on a PC or a Chromebook, it's Control Z to undo that. Because now we could move these letters, but I actually want the picture inside the letter to also look like the picture that's in the back layer. So what I'm going to press is Control J. On a Mac, it'd be Command J. And if you noticed, it changed all of a sudden, got a little bit lighter. There's a basic reason for that. It's because now it's on a new layer, and because there's nothing overlaid on it. So we're going to change the opacity to 100. And now you see that it's the same exact image. It just looks different because the opacity is 100. So let's bring that up. That layer, we're going to click and hold it, and we're going to bring it up, because as we bring back the rest of our images, the midground and foreground, right, our main subjects, oh, we're not going to use that right now. Now we have our main subjects. We're going to hold this one back because this is going to go in front of the letters. So we're not going to look at that right now. And now we got to make some decisions to help this fit the design better. So one of the things I did is, and you could do it in different orders, but we can outline these letters. Right now, the letters look like that you just can't see them well. So let's do an outline. And the way you would do that is you go into your layer styles, double click, and the way they call it stroke. So you're going to outline the letters and you're going to select stroke. Now, if you select stroke, you get some options. You can make the outline as dense as you want. Obviously, I think the thicker the outline, the more cartoonish it looks. So I would stick between 1 and 2. You don't even have to see the outline. You really just you don't want the outline to be obvious. You just want to see it enough that it separates it from the background. Now you can also take down the opacity a little bit if it's still too strong. Obviously, I'd stay above 50%. And then you could also choose different color. Now, the other thing I would do, you don't have to, you could add a drop shadow. Now, a drop shadow would definitely create space between the letters. And the background, you could change the angle. Um, I would like the person to look at the model first. So what I would do is make the drop shadow be lower, and that automatically kind of helps the viewer look from above, meaning look up first. You can exaggerate the distance, right? But the thing you want to be careful of, the more you focus and create a lot of focus on these letters by adding all these details, well, the more focus it takes away from the rest of the collage. So you really want to be careful with that. Then obviously there's the size, and the size basically kind of just blurs it out. And so because it's got a transition to it, it's got a gradient to it. So I would keep it that simple. And then as you press OK, now your letters are standing out. They got a drop shadow, they got a little bit of an outline, and then and they're not in the middle, so they don't take too much attention. Now, the other thing we got to see here is it's black and white. Kind of doesn't fit the rest of the design. So one thing that I see, and I'll show you over here, what I did with the other one is I added color to it. Now that's been desaturated. Desaturated means that the color's been taken from it. So I could do two things. I could go back, redo this whole process from the original picture that has color, use that instead. You could do that. But I'm going to show you how you can add color to something that doesn't. And actually, I'm sorry, pick the wrong menu here. Let's go to image adjustments, and you're going to go to color balance. You could also click Control B. Now this has, RGB, red, green, and blue, and you're going to be able to add colors as you like. Now, in case you're wondering, I was like, all right, well, I want to make it purple. So what I'm going to do, and actually, before you do that, let's back up a little bit. Before you do that, you want to see the range. So this is actually affecting different parts of the image. So the midtone are going to be the grays, the shadows are going to be the blacks, and the highlights are going to be anything lighter than the grays. So I would select midtones because that would affect more values. And then I'm going to add some red. And then I want it to look purple. So guess what? I'm going to add some blue. And then you start getting that purple that you could see in the piece, in the hair, and things like that. Now that we have some color in it, we can go back and go to image, adjustments, hue and saturation. Now, if you want to play with the lightness of it, the darkness of it, that's up to you. Now that it has color, you can saturate it. I'm going to desaturate a little bit. And you're like, wait a minute, you just added color, you're going to take it away. Yeah, I don't want it to be so bright that it's going to take away from the rest of the poster. You could also change the color. Now that it has color, it'll change it for you. It also adjusts the color. You can change the hue. If it was just black and white, it would not do that. So now I got my letters with a tint of color, and I'm much, much happier with it. Press OK. Now my last element, I'm gonna bring back the birds, and these birds are part of uh, the free element, which is one of the elements. If you have the information on the project, you can look that up. Oh, selected the wrong layer by mistake. There we go. So I want to make these birds a little bit bigger, but I don't want them to go on the model's face, but I want them to go across the word. There we go. Give the computer a little time to catch up. And so now we have our text, we have our freed element, we have our landscape, our portrait, and a background all together working well together. And so that's how you could create an image inside of it, and also how you could change the color and add color to it, add back shadow, and even outline it. So hopefully this helps you, something you're willing to try. I'm going to do a couple more videos on how to do something creative with your text and